Hey guys, welcome back. As you guys are probably aware if you follow me and my channel, I have a C7 Z06 Corvette, which I really love. It's a 7-speed manual. I used to own a Nissan GTR, which was awesome, but it was paddle shift and I didn't really like it. Felt like the car was driving for me. So I switched to a manual transmission C7 Z06. Anyways, it has a cold air K&N carbon fiber intake as well as a Borla X pipe. It's never been dyno tuned, but I'm hoping to lay down some sufficient power with some upgrades that I'm going to be showing you in this video. It's she's going under the knife getting all these things installed and tuned at a local dealer about an hour from me in a couple weeks, and I'm hoping to gauge through this video, hopefully through comments that you guys leave on what you think with these upgrades and the current upgrades I have on my car, what she'll be putting down to the ground. So if you're a car enthusiast, you probably know the C7 Z06 makes about 650 crank horsepower, probably around 565-70 wheel horsepower. Again, I added a cold air K&N intake, which is probably around 40 horsepower gain. I'm not quite sure as I never dyno tuned it after I installed it. And then the Borla X pipe gets rid of the secondary catalytic converters, which might give you an extra 5 horsepower, but I mainly did that for sound. But the first upgrade that my tuner recommended is a lower pulley. This is the Innovators West 9% Overdrive pulley. By installing one of these, he says I should be able to get about 2.5 to 3 pounds more boost, which should be about 50 to 60 more horsepower, give or take. He recommended not doing the upper pulley just because it's already a pretty small pulley as it is, and it can cause belt slippage. That's why I went with the Innovators West pulley. Thing's pretty beautiful, pretty heavy, and pretty expensive at $700, but if it's gonna produce some power, well worth it. Next on the list is a ported throttle body, 87 millimeters. This is my stock throttle body that I sent in, had it ported so it increases airflow and efficiency. It's also supposed to help with some throttle response. This is supposed to gain 10 to 15 horsepower, hopefully. I was gonna go to a 103 millimeter, but then I'd have to port my snout on my supercharger and send that in and all that stuff, which I didn't really want to do. So I just went with the ported 87 millimeter stock throttle body. All right, next up are Catless Downpipes, which I got from EOS. These are kind of hard to find. A lot of companies don't make Catless downpipes anymore just because of emissions reasons, and a lot of people live in states where you still have to pass emissions. Luckily, in Washington where I live, I don't have to pass emissions. So if I'm producing a lot of smells through my car exhaust, I won't have to worry about being fined or not being able to renew my car tabs. These things increase the exhaust flow of your car. So if I'm increasing airflow through my intake and the supercharger pulley needs more air and fuel, you want to be able to get that exhaust out of the car as fast as possible. Catalytic converters usually sit right here on downpipes and they restrict a lot of the exhaust flow. So hopefully these will add about 20 to 25 horsepower. They only cost about $350, which is a lot cheaper than going with Catless headers, which are like $3,000, $3,500 installed. And these sound pretty raspy, pretty mean when they're installed. And luckily with the stock NPP Corvette exhaust, if I don't want it to be loud as hell, I can just turn it down to touring mode. It'll close the valves and make it, kind of more enjoyable car to drive down the road. The only negative is that I'm waiting to be seen is if my car smells. A lot of people say when you get rid of all your catalytic converters, if you're in stop and go traffic, it can get a little stinky. It can actually stink your clothes up, give you a headache, which would not be cool. But then I spoke to a lot of people that do have Catless headers and Catless downpipes on their C7 Z06, and they say it's not a problem at all. So we'll see in 2 weeks. Now, because I'm going to be installing the lower pulley and spinning the blower faster than probably what it was intended for, it's going to be creating more heat. So my tuner recommended getting some mods to help cool the intake air temperatures. This is a Lingenfelter expansion tank. 2.5 gallons, just holds 2.5 extra gallons of coolant for your supercharger, and it looks pretty darn sleek. Again, this is pretty expensive, about $600, but if it's gonna help keep my beast cool, well worth it. And to help additionally cool down the car with the use of the expansion tank, I also went with a DNS Dual Row heat exchanger for the supercharger. This thing's like twice as thick as the stock one. Again, it's just supposed to help with cooling. We'll see. And the third thing I'm adding to help cool my little red rocket is a set of ACS hood extractor vents. I actually have to cut in my hood to install these. I'm gonna have them professionally installed. It's costing like $1,000 to install them. I'm also gonna have them painted red to match my car, just because I have a lot of black and red on the car already, and I just think having these on there is just a little too much. I think they'll just kind of blend in and camouflage a little bit more, but basically these are just extra ways to extract the hot heat from the LT4 engine bay out into the atmosphere. So we'll see. Now, I'm probably overdoing it on the cooling mods because I live in Seattle, Washington, where the outside, average ambient temperature is like 68 degrees. I also don't track the car at like a road course or on the quarter mile. I just do spirited highway driving when it's safe. Of course, I'm a safe driver, never had any tickets or anything like that, except when I was in high school and I was racing little Hondas, and they weren't even fast cars, but I was doing 100 and always got tickets. Anyways, I just wanted to be safe because I don't want to overheat my my baby, but I would think with all three of these cooling mods, it's going to do the trick. Now, these last two mods are not going to help with cooling or horsepower, but I heard they're pretty cool to install. Anyways, this is the MGW short throw shifter. The throw on my manual transmission on my Corvette is pretty darn long. I mean, you're going from like high North Pole to high South Pole. This is supposed to reduce it by like 60% and help, be more confident when you're shifting. You're supposed to be able to feel what gear you're in better. So I think this is gonna be money well spent. And last but not least, I got myself a little solar throttle controller. This is supposed to help you fine-tune your throttle sensitivity on the fly. There's supposed to be like 15 different settings because, as you're probably aware, on the Z06, sometimes it's just not as responsive when you push the pedal down as you feel like it should. This super tiny little device is supposed to install in like 20 minutes and help cure all of that. So now this next upgrade is something I'm really, really excited about. Ever since I've had the C7 Z06, it's my first supercharged car. I've always wanted that supercharger whine. That sound. I've had a lot of turbocharged vehicles with the blow-off valves, and that sounds cool, but I really want the blower one. Unfortunately, the small little blower on the C7 Z06 just doesn't make any whine. I installed the air intakes. People said that brings out the whine. That didn't do much. I also removed the weather stripping. That wasn't really a smart idea because I live in Washington and rain would be able to get in, and it didn't really help at all. But I bought myself a Shawn Foster sound tube. This connects into your intake and reroutes the air or the sound through your firewall, through this little diaphragm into your cabin of your car, so you can actually hear the supercharger whine. These kits are kind of do it yourself, but you do have to drill through the firewall, which I'm gonna have it professionally installed because I don't really want to take that upon myself to do that. But I've been watching tons of videos, people that have Mustangs, Mustang GTs, any other supercharged vehicles, Cadillacs that want the whine, and this thing is friggin' loud. You can also, dampen it down by putting pieces of rubber over the diaphragm if you don't want it quite as loud, but I'm really, really excited about the sound tube. Well, guys, I'd hope to hear your thoughts in the comment below what you think the dyno numbers are gonna be on the car. I'm hoping to have around 680 wheel horsepower. I heard just having a tune with a reliable tuner can give you an extra 20 horsepower. I'm not aware of that. I never had a car tuned before, but I'm thinking with all these extra mods, which with my current mods should give me at least an extra 100 horsepower and 100 foot-pounds of torque over stock. So please let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll be making a follow-up video once my little red rocket gets her numbers back. See you in the next video.